Joe from Palermo. This is the Rorschach, Georgia update from the 10th of April, 2025. Quick summary of what's going down in Georgia. For those who may not know, the 9th of April is an important date in Georgia. It marks the 1989 Soviet crackdown on a peaceful rally in Tbilisi that left 21 dead, hundreds injured. The day honors the country's fight for independence. This year, families of political prisoners and other citizens gathered at the Rustaveli Avenue Memorial in front of Parliament to block the Georgian dream. Our Kotzebue officials from laying wreaths in front of the memorial. Prime Minister Irakli Kobakhidze avoided the scene and visited the Holy Trinity Cathedral, instead calling the protests a provocation. Kotzebue MP Kote Zarnadze and his supporters, who were waving the Kotzebue flag, failed to reach the memorial as protesters blocked them. Winning the April Irony Prize, the Kotzebue's parliament speaker Shalva Papuashvili compared pro-European protesters to the Soviet troops in 1989, accusing them of pushing foreign agendas that threaten Georgia's sovereignty and unity. Crazily ironic, since it is the Kotzebue that are busy bees trying to make Georgia once again a corrupt Russian colony. Adjara's autonomous republic will have a new head of government. Tornike Reshvadze, who held the position for 7 years, stepped down on Friday the 4th, saying that he had served long enough and that the region needs change. He thanked Bidzina Ivanishvili, his colleagues, and voters for their support. On the same day, the Kotzebue's president, Mikhail Kavelashvili, introduced the new head of Adjara's government, Sulkhan Tamazishvili, who previously served as the director of Tbilisi's police department, and he will take over the new role. Tamazishvili is one of the officials the UK sanctioned for his role in the massive and brutal crackdown against pro-European protesters in November last year. For the same actions, the Kotzebue's government awarded him an Order of Merit, praising his contributions to order and safety. Blech. Next up, on Saturday the 5th, Pata Abuladze, the brother-in-law of the mayor of Tbilisi and secretary general of the Kotzebue, and a creepy psychopath, shared a video on social media showing a column of Russian tanks. Celebrating the Russian army's advance, he wrote that they had already reached Dnipropetrovsk, a city in Ukraine, and that no one cared about Trump's demands, referring to the U.S. president's attempts to broker a ceasefire. Abuladze regularly posts pro-Russian content on Facebook, as well as photos of his meetings with the Kotzebue leadership, including Bidzina Ivanishvili and Vakhtang Gomelauri, the Minister of Internal Affairs. In 2024, he visited the Russian-occupied Ukrainian city of Luhansk, where he wore a hat with a Russian flag and a T-shirt with the pro-Russian war symbol Z. Daniel Trevis, a 28-year-old Brit from Liverpool, said that the Georgian police beat him in jail and are now stopping him from leaving the country. He moved to Tbilisi in September 2023 and worked as a bar manager. Trevis said that in November last year, police arrested him during protest, dragging him into the parliament building, forcing him into a staged interview for pro-Russian media to present himself as a Western-paid provocateur. He said that officers beat him, denied him food for 3 days, and held him in a filthy roach-infested cell for 12 days. After his release, presumably a police car followed him for weeks. He tried to leave Georgia twice, once by plane and once by bus through Turkey, but border guards blocked him both times. One officer demanded 1,000 Lari, which is $370, to close his case, which he paid. Later, another one asked for 3,000 Lari, which is $1,100. This time he refused to pay. British Embassy is now investigating the case. Nika Gvaramia, leader and founder of the Coalition for Change, Gvaramia Melia Girchi Droa or Tavi Suplebis Twis, says Irakli Gharibashvili, former top figure in the Kotzebue, twice the country's prime minister, is now being intimidated by his own party. According to Gvaramia, Gharibashvili no longer has his passport and can't leave the country. He was once the second most powerful person in the Kotzebue right after Ivanishvili, but after stepping down as prime minister for the second time, he's largely disappeared from the public eye, despite saying that he still supports Ivanishvili. One point, he was admitted to the hospital with physical injuries, which the party's press release said happened while he was working out. Speaking of Tavis Lebestui, several leaders of Girchi, which is part of Gvaramia's coalition, announced their departure from the party. Tsodne Koberidze and Boris Kurua, who are particularly popular among young people, shared their decision to leave the party on Facebook, saying that they were not happy about the party's current direction. Koberidze wrote that he didn't believe the opposition would be able to unite against the Kotzebue. He also mentioned that the opposition has been using the same methods for the past 12 years and that without significant change and analysis of their mistakes, they will not win. According to the Institute for Development of Freedom of Information, or IDFI, in 2024, the government allocated a record 427 million lari, which is over 190 million US dollars, in bonuses and allowance from the state budget, the highest figure in the past 10 years. IDFI reports that the Ministry of Internal Affairs received the largest share of bonuses and allowances with almost 169 million lari, which is over 60 million US dollars in allowances, and over 16 million lari, or almost $6 million, in bonuses. These payments bought the state crackdown on protests and rewarded bonuses to the people who beat the protesters. While on the topic of financing, on Monday the 7th, the executive introduced a bill that will require government approval before any organization can receive foreign grants. The government will have 10 days to either approve the grant or deny it. The decision can be appealed, but it will remain in effect during the appeal process. Anti-Corruption Bureau will oversee all foreign grants to ensure they comply with the law. Anyone who accepts a grant without government approval will face a fine equal to twice the grant amount. On Friday the 4th, the Polish embassy in Georgia posted a warning on its Facebook page alerting Polish investors about dishonest property developers in Batumi. The embassy wrote that it has received an increasing number of complaints from Polish investors who feel they've been defrauded. The embassy urges Polish citizens to thoroughly research a developer's reputation before making any real estate investments. Since support for victims of fraud is very limited in Georgia now, the only option is to take the case to court, controlled by the Kotsebi. However, the embassy cautions that this process can be long and doesn't guarantee a successful outcome. Meanwhile, on Tuesday the 8th, part of the busy road on Tbilisi's left riverbank collapsed after the Gvaramia River washed out the base of a support wall. Fortunately, a day earlier, a citizen had reported cracks in the road to municipal services, who blocked it off in time, so when the river fully swept away a section of the road, no one was hurt. Municipal employees are now busy working around the clock to repair the damage. The restricted traffic on the riverbank is added to the city's already heavy congestion. Asia Development Bank, or ADB, expects Georgia's economy to grow by 6% in 2025, slower pace than the 9.4% seen in 2024. In its new report, the ADB says stalled EU membership talks and ongoing global tensions could make it harder for the country to attract foreign investment and boost exports. Consumer spending is also expected to slow down, with growth dropping to 4.8% in 2025 and 3.4% in 2026. Partly because of fewer Russian migrants and their reduced spending. Closing with some sports news, UEFA fined Georgia's Football Federation 40,000 euros, which is almost 44,000 US dollars, and ordered the national team to play one Nations League home match without spectators due to fan misconduct during the 23rd of March game against Armenia, when Georgian fans stormed the field, used lasers and fireworks, and blocked exits. UEFA also placed Georgia under a 2-year probation, and similar violations during this period will result in another spectator ban. And that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us. If you're liking the updates, we hope so. Want to chat? Toss us an idea, ask something, email us at info@rorschach.com. That's RORSHOK.com. Nach Hamdis.